Hello, this is Serena Blaiz. The Left in Oklahoma podcast is a production of Oklahoma Activist. It is hosted by myself, recorded in Oklahoma City, and distributed free of charge as a public service. Its mission is to widen the political dialogue in Oklahoma, increase civic awareness and activism, and support policies that create justice and enhance the common good. To paraphrase Woody Guthrie, this podcast kills fascists. You can download the show from leftinoklahoma.com or oklahomaactivist.com, or subscribe using any of the online feeds listed there, including YouTube, SoundCloud, Stitcher, and, coming soon, iTunes. You can contribute to the costs involved with production and distribution by making a donation, or, even better, a monthly recurring contribution. Regular contributors can, if desired, be listed as sponsors of the program. Please share the podcast, however you access it, with your friends, colleagues, and networks. If you would like to contribute an original segment to the podcast, news, event, or opinion, suggest a topic, or submit feedback, please use our instructions and submission feedback form on the websites mentioned above. We reserve the right to read your written feedback on the show unless you indicate otherwise. Thank you for listening and for supporting Left in Oklahoma. Please fasten your seatbelts and don't adjust your dial. You're turning left in Oklahoma. Hi everybody, this is Serena Blaiz and you are listening to Left in Oklahoma. It is March 5th, 2018, and it's for this little podcast going by either Pointing Left or Left in Oklahoma. It is episode 29. It sometimes feels like it's 129 or 1,029. And sometimes it feels like my first episode and I'm just starting and don't know what the hell I'm doing. So all of the above, really. Anyway, I'm glad you found this little podcast. I hope you enjoy it. I am finishing up my last cup of coffee here on Monday morning. And actually, I'm having to pause because said coffee steamed up my glasses and I can't see my notes. I think the dogs are sufficiently pacified for me to continue on now. Now this episode, I am recording it Monday morning on the fly. I'm going to keep it short, I promise, and fast. I've got a minimal script and no articles to read. So it'll take me a lot less time, and maybe you will like it better, or not. Yeah, this will be a test in audience engagement, so let me know. I am feeling a bit ominous. I don't know about you. It's like we're on the precipice of major developments in D.C. as well as here in Oklahoma. Last week was insane. Cuckoo Cocoa Puffs in Washington. Not that you can't say that every week, but it just seems to be increasing in intensity and number of insane things going on. In comparison, maybe Oklahoma almost seems stable. Maybe not. But then the weekend happened, right? And that theory, not going to fly. I'll have more on those developments in a minute. But at any rate, I just keep plodding along through the madness, probably just like you. trying to hold a light up and get a little bit done that's positive and proactive instead of just always reactive. Getting harder, seemingly. That's unfortunate. You get tempted to retreat into that blessed state that most Americans seem to enjoy, which is a life with minimal or non-existent awareness of politics, right? But no matter how hard I try, I just can't live there. I can't even go there. I just can't live there, can't, be part of that. I'm a political junkie, and I have to stay informed. I have to be actively demanding equality and justice from those who purport to lead us and decide for us. And thus this podcast, in which I try to recruit you to be a junkie like me and just join my frustrated yet somehow still fulfilling life dedicated to something important and necessary, which is seeking to implement the common good, right? So let's check over the crazy from the past few days and maybe possibly a big action that will break through the Oklahoma stagnant legislature with their mindset of scarcity up at the state capitol. We will try. So Saturday was a nice day, very nice day for like a visit to a local park maybe. Wait, what's that flag? Oh, not the good one. Not the good red flag with a 46 and a star, but the one that stands for the worst in American history. Yep, some people got to fetishize that ugly damn thing, and those people were in Oklahoma City this weekend at Wiley Post Park. And the good news is not that many showed up for the thing, and they did cart them in from out of town, but just very few people showed up, really, relatively speaking. And there were much more people, there were maybe, from reports, maybe half again as much people who came out, locals who came out and said, not in my town. The protesters, quote unquote, were sons of Confederate veterans. Apparently that's a thing that still exists. And the theme of their rally in Oklahoma City was setting the record straight. That's quote unquote what they say. But the other side, our side, was the No Hate in Our State rally. And that, again, was in Wiley Post Park. I unfortunately could not attend. I'm self-employed and I had some critical work to get done on that lovely day. I was stuck inside in front of the computer all day. That was a drag. So I didn't get out to be part of that protest. Red State Revolt live streamed it on Facebook, which was lovely, with camera work by Kate Wild. Thank her and them for that. I will link to it, of course, so if you didn't catch it, you can do so. But I was very impressed by the people that came out, and I have to say that the indigenous activists in our area showed up in force. That was fantastic. I'm glad they came. It was important to do that. It's unfortunate that these things, that those kind of events even get, that's a reality that we have to live with. But it's important to go and, counter that statement. As far as I could tell, again, not there, but as far as I can tell from all the reports and the pictures I saw, it did stay peaceful. The two groups were separated by a road. Police, of course, were out in force. I thought it was embarrassing for their side, and hopefully that will impact them in their future plans. So that happened. Just wanted to let you know about that. Thanks to all who came out for that, who organized it and promoted it and got that good turnout for that event. So next thing that I want to talk about is what appears to be a Oklahoma teacher strike. And I've got reports from Facebook, a couple of Facebook pages that don't seem to be confirmed yet in the corporate media, as I call them, but certainly if it was something being talked about before, it now seems even more imminent. And what I'm talking about now is a strike by Oklahoma teachers to protest the fact that the legislature is doing jack shit about this situation. Oklahoma teachers, on average, have the lowest pay rate in the nation. Of course, right now, the West Virginia teachers have been on strike for over 7 days. That's seeming to be very effective strike by them. But they actually are not the worst situation in the country. That's us. So what I've seen are, as I said, on Facebook, there's a group that has grown very rapidly. It's called Oklahoma Teacher Walkout. The time is now. It's a closed group. The last I checked, it had about almost 36,000 members. And there's another page, Teachers United, that when I looked had about 2,000 followers. I know from a good source that the administrator of that page, Teachers United, is a teacher and is a member of OEA, one of the teachers' unions here. And that page is reporting that the decision has been made. So again, take it with a grain of salt, but I'm fairly confident this is where the discussion is with the teachers. So let me just go over their developing story. On Saturday, the Teachers United page posted this. Yesterday, teachers from the OKC and Tulsa communities met to discuss plans for a strike. 2 strike dates are being considered. Plan 1 is teachers will begin a strike on April 2nd. This is called the nuclear option as it prevents mandatory statewide testing, which is scheduled for that week. If Oklahoma fails to conduct these tests, then Oklahoma loses federal funding to the tune of millions. Plan 2 is that teachers will go on spring break and not return. In doing so, the state legislatures have a week before we get to the nuclear option the following week. Further discussions are being made with large school systems, PTSAs, unions, and school boards to continue to build consensus on this strike strategy. It is expected that a strike date will be announced this coming Friday, March 9th. We strongly urge all teachers to begin talking to colleagues, administrators, school board members, and most importantly, your PTSA, as they will need to manage the children in our absence. During spring break, a protest will be conducted at the Capitol to urge legislators to take action. So again, that was Saturday. Okay, fast forward to Sunday afternoon, and Teachers United page posted this. A strike is imminent. There is no doubt that teachers will be striking if legislators don't get a bill passed that offers teachers a $10,000 pay raise. That date is to be decided quickly. Members of Oklahoma Teachers United are in discussions with superintendents from across the state in hopes of unifying our efforts so there is a single voice representing teachers. And I'll just interject that was the first time that I personally had seen the $10,000 pay raise mentioned. And I'm not all over this issue like some folks are, but of course, the legislature has only been talking about $5,000, and that was part of the step-up plan that failed, and other bills or proposals have talked about $5,000, which would basically, I don't even know if it would get them out of the basement in terms of being the last, the 50th of the states. for average teacher pay, but I think 10,000 probably would. They deserve it. They should get it. And frankly, there's a relatively simple and certainly a sane way to get that done with the gross production tax. But at any rate, that's an aside. Let's move back to the Teachers United Facebook page, posted Sunday night, and we are striking. And that's in all caps with several exclamation points. And continuing, we've just received word that superintendents across the state have met and they intend to support our strike. We did it April 2nd. So that would indicate that the decision has been made of the two options, that they're going with the April 2nd date. And I've seen a good deal of support for the strike on Facebook. Of course, I'm an old lefty, and I see mostly my friends who are lefties posting their support. And of course, it also needs to be said that this will impact people in a lot of ways that will be difficult, not the least of which will be the teachers themselves. But of course, yes, it will impact parents who generally need to go to work and have their kids somewhere safe, preferably getting an education, being fed, etc. So that will be an issue that needs to be addressed, and people are talking about ways to address that situation and coming together to manage it, and have volunteers, both parents that are available and other volunteers in the community, deal with it. And I think that that will be resolved. It's just a matter of organizing the effort and getting people in a systemized way to provide what is needed. So I feel confident that supporters of the teachers and the teachers themselves will deal with, as much as possible, deal with the negative impact that this will have on the kids and the parents. They are not unaware of that. That is for sure. I saw one thing. This is a post by Barbara Ehrenreich, of course, the author and activist of many great books on economic justice. She posted this: a lot of children depend on free school lunches, so the West Virginia teachers made food packages for them before going on strike and have continued to try to feed them. This is our dystopian welfare state. Severely underpaid teachers trying to keep poverty-stricken kids alive. And of course, this will apply as well to Oklahoma when we get to the strike situation. And all hands on deck, if you are at all able to help with helping the kids and supporting the teachers during their walkout, that is needed and will be very much appreciated by all. I also want to just mention, wrapping up this topic, is that with education in the higher ed department, I see a report on the Oklahoman that student fees are going up at Oklahoma schools. So the budget cuts obviously are having that kind of impact down the line, because our legislature simply cannot find the will and the desire to get a fair amount of money from the oil and gas industry. And that's where we are. Stay tuned. To be revealed. It's a big story now, and finally maybe the legislature will wake up and take notice. Let's hope. All right, so I just want to go over a couple of things about advocacy. Okay, so on the okpolicy.org website, of course, that's the Oklahoma Policy Institute, is one of the resources that I want to call your attention to in terms of finding your legislator. If you go to their site, under the resources menu, you'll find several tools there, but one of them is Find Your Legislator. And I actually like that one a little better than the one that's on the official Oklahoma government sites. That one, the Gov one, I mean, if you need to find all of your representatives from your state senator and representatives up to Congress, that brings that up. But the one on OK policy, it just brings up your state representatives and gives you all the contact information you need on there. Another good resource for advocates seeking to influence our legislator is at letsfixthisok.org. Of course, I've mentioned Let's Fix This many times before. That is a grassroots effort started a couple of years ago when things really went to hell in the legislature, and Andy Moore started this he just decided to do a Facebook event, and it grew quickly and is now quite a large effort. Has a lovely website, and if you go there, they have the Contact Your Legislators link, and that page has really good resources. It has a spreadsheet of all the contact info for all the state representatives, and includes their Facebook page and Twitter accounts if they have them. So that's a really handy place to find information. Now, I also want to bring your attention to something else, which is more for our federal representatives. And that's a tool I've been using for quite a few years called Megavote. And that is found at congress.org. And you can sign up by email there. If you're still one of the people still using email, so many people don't anymore. They hardly ever read their email. But if you're like me and you're keeping up with your email, you can use this tool to track your senators and representatives' votes, right? So each week that Congress is in session, you will receive an email that will contain the key votes by your 2 senators and your U.S. representatives. It will have links to send email to your members of Congress using pre-addressed forms, and it will also show upcoming votes on key bills and a chance to offer your input on those bills before they vote. So this is a weekly vote monitor that tracks the decisions made by your elected officials on key issues. I found it very useful. You can, of course, subscribe to your own representatives' votes, but you can also do it for any representative in the country that you want. All right. So for instance, I get emails for all of the Oklahoma Congress people, just because I think I might have mentioned it. I'm a political junkie. So I get them all. All right, so of course, now that Megavote is only for national, and it's not quite as simple to keep up with tracking the votes in the Oklahoma legislature. There are several groups that are working on that and attempting to put together some tracking tools, so we will deal with that in a future episode. So now let's move on to events, and we're just going to run through these, and all of these events you can find more details at oklahomaactivist.com/events. Tuesday, I want to tell you about, I've mentioned this before, it's the burn storm for State Question 788, which is the medical marijuana bill. This will be Tuesday the 6th at 6:30 at the Teamsters Union Hall on Reno. 788 medical marijuana is on the ballot June 26th, and we need to get people informed of this and out to vote. So the burn storm will be a way to organize people into teams that will go out and knock on doors in Bernie-friendly districts. districts have or precincts have been identified that voted, the majority of the votes in that district voted for Bernie in the 2016 presidential primary. So there's a good chance you're going to find somebody that is supportive of 788 passage. So it will be, if you're a first-time canvasser, this will be a really good opportunity for you to get your feet wet. You'll be teamed up with someone who has experience and go out and have a likelihood to knock on a friendly door. So Tuesday night, come out for that. Wednesday, the 7th, there's an event called Student Activism in Oklahoma from 1962 to 1972. This is at UCO Liberal Arts Building, room 234, and Dr. Sarah Epler-Janda will be discussing her research on the forgotten history of protest in Oklahoma and her new book called Prairie Power, Student Activism, Counterculture, and Backlash in Oklahoma, 1962 to 1972. I am looking forward to reading that book. I, of course, was not in Oklahoma at that time, but I've talked to people who were, and there was a really good movement here for peace and justice, for activating students, and a counterculture. Oklahoma was certainly part of that movement at that time that was taking place in country. Okay, Wednesday night, my friend Mark Hendrickson is going to be speaking to the meeting of the Brennan Society. That takes place at Johnny's Charcoal Broiler in Edmond, starting at 7 p.m. The topic of his speech is Why I Am a Democratic Socialist. So he's a good speaker, so I encourage you to come out and hear what he has to say. On Thursday night, Together Oklahoma will be meeting at 6 p.m. at the Belle Isle Library. That group, Together Oklahoma, is an offshoot of the OK Policy Institute. It's their activist advocacy wing, more or less. So that should be informative about what's going on at the legislature and how you can impact it. All right, Saturday, you're invited to join the United Nations Association of Oklahoma City from 2 to 4 p.m. at the Raindrop Turkish House, which is at 4444 North Classen. They will be celebrating International Women's Day with a panel of women talking about the state of women's public health in Oklahoma. And that will address domestic violence and sexual assault, mental health, and indigenous maternal health and well-being. Tickets are $10, so you need to register ahead for that. So again, you can find the link at oklahomaactivist.com/events. Look on the Saturday, March 10th date. All right, so let's jump ahead a little bit. Monday, the 12th, will be Oklahoma Women's Day at the Capitol starting at noon, and that is sponsored by the Oklahoma Women's Coalition. They will be on the 4th floor rotunda. They say this is an opportunity to meet with legislators, engage with our organizational partners, and ultimately create a meaningful presence at the Capitol for women and girls. They will hear briefly about the Coalition's 2018 legislative priorities. The event is free, but they do want you to register. And finally, jumping ahead a couple of weeks, hope it's already on your calendar. If not, put it there. March 24th is the March for Our Lives in Oklahoma City. That is the event that students are organizing in response to the gun violence in schools and in our society in general. That should be a momentous occasion, so you definitely want to be there. All right, so I want to have you do an action for me. I was informed on Facebook that Kirk Humphrey was back on KFOR's Flashpoint yesterday. Of course, we have talked about him also in the past. He is very much anti-LGBT. He brings that opinion to his work and volunteer activities, specifically with charter schools. He sits on the board, and that's unacceptable. He's just making very bigoted statements. He got into a lot of trouble for that a month or two ago on Flashpoint, but for some reason KFOR has not learned a lesson about Kirk Humphrey. So what I want you to do is push back to that, because it's basically normalizing bigotry and anti-LGBT policy, and we're not going to have that. The number to call to complain is area code 405-424-4444, or you can write a comment on their webpage. If you go to kfor.com, up on the top menu, there's a contact button. You click that, you get a page, and one of the options is report a concern, complaint, or suggestion. You click there, you get a form, fill it out, and tell them you want Kirk Humphrey to stop being invited to spew his hate on the public airwaves. And I would emphasize that they are public airways. KFOR is a broadcast network that basically operates on the good graces of the public's ownership of those airwaves. So they need to respond. And frankly, I may add an action item to file a complaint with the FCC. But for now, file it with KFOR. Please do. I think it will make a difference if enough of us do that. Well, that's it for this week. I told you it would be shorter, and I do appreciate you listening. I do appreciate any feedback that you can give me, whether that be on Facebook or at oklahomaactivist.com contact form. Or you can text me at 405-598-RENA. This is Serena Blaiz for Left in Oklahoma. Again, thanks for listening. Until next time, be well, be kind, but be active. You've been listening to Left in Oklahoma with Serena Blaiz. This podcast is a production of Oklahoma Activist, oklahomaactivist.com. You can visit there for past episodes and other resources such as a community events calendar and a directory of alternative media. This is Serena Blaiz. Thank you for listening.